Well, Glendale's Proposition 457 would repeal a sales tax increase approved by the City Council in June. It would also require future tax increases to be approved by voters. Here to discuss the measure is Pat Quinn of Save Glendale Now, the group supporting Prop 457. He's an advisor to Dave Kimmerly of Sanderson Ford and a former president of Quest, Arizona. Here to speak against the proposition is Yvonne Knaack, a member of Glendale's City Council. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Pat, we'll start with you. Why is this necessary? Why reverse this 5-year, $125 million tax hike?
Well, it's very simple. A lot of people get confused. I think you did a great summary on what it does. It restores it back to the old level, 2.2% instead of 2.9%, and it does require then that the citizens vote on any future sales tax increases. With that sales tax increase that the council put in, Glendale became the highest sales tax of any city, 200,000 people or more in the country, at 10.2%. So what we decided to do on that is that we needed to look at a way to get that back so that businesses weren't hurt, there wasn't an undue burden on the residents of Glendale, and so that's one of the reasons we did the initiative.
Why is a tax hike necessary?
Well, after about 4 years of tightening our belt by eliminating 25% of the employees, 22% of our budget, employee furloughs of about $5.5 million, 2 years, 5%, consolidating departments. We even had a program called Innovate, which staff came up with ideas on how to save money for Glendale. It came down to this year, we had 8 budget meetings, and we saw that there is no way we were going to be able to make the June 30th deadline for a balanced budget, which is required by state law. And that is when we made the decision to do the temporary sales tax.
35 cents more on a $50 purchase. First tax hike, city sales tax hike in Glendale in some 20 some odd years. Is it not time to maybe look at this and consider what the city council has done?
Well, first, if what you just said was true, that'd be all right. It isn't the first sales tax increase in 20 years. There's been 3 city sales tax increases since 1993. All of those were initiated by citizens. They either were to help public safety, fire, and police, or they're to do some transportation things. So the tax has went up. It's gotten to 2.2% over time. Secondly, yeah, it sounds really nice. It's 35 cents on $50. Well, the problem with that is that over the 5 years of this tax, the average family of 4 people is going to spend about $2,300 on this tax increase, and that's significant to me.
Sounds significant. Do you agree with those numbers?
It is significant, but I think the citizens of Glendale who really appreciate the quality of life that we have in Glendale will gladly pay that. And I think most of the citizens I talk to believe that. And we're also just one of the last of 30 cities who've raised taxes. We were fortunate to have a very large rainy day fund, which was sound financial planning on our part. When it came down to the recession lasting so long and being so hard, it came to the point where our rainy day fund was depleted, and we were put in a position to either raise this temporary sales tax, or we're going to have to let a lot of employees go, close a couple libraries, pools. I mean, it's down to the bare necessities now.
So for those who say the city of Glendale doesn't necessarily have a revenue problem, it still has a spending problem, you say?
Well, I say in the past, decisions were made when the money was there. Now we are stuck with decisions that we made, which were good decisions at the time, but because of the recession has caused the problem that we're in, such as Camelback Ranch. I know that Mr. Quinn will probably bring that up. At that time, it was part of a much larger development. I mean, there was to be a 5-star hotel, a golf course, offices, residential, and then the recession hit and the developer went bankrupt.
The idea that city parks would close, libraries would see lesser services, police and firefighters, fewer of them, they'd be getting laid off, these sorts of things. Services overall would be affected. Again, for this kind of a tax hike, is it worth it?
Well, first of all, I don't follow your premise. And let me give you an example. Let's talk about the new Jamison Arena management deal. The city of Glendale and the majority of the council have already said publicly, that's 4 out of 7, have said that they would vote for giving Jamison $320 million over 20 years to run the arena. An alternative that was put out by the city manager would only cost $120 million over the 20 years. That's a savings of $200 million over those 20 years. That's $10 million a year. That $10 million a year would not necessarily, they wouldn't have to necessarily lower or get rid of police, fire, and they could have all their festivals just for that 10. So what's happened is The city council has decisions to make. In the past, we think they've not always made the best decisions. We want the citizens back involved, so if there's going to be a tax increase, the citizens vote on it.
Sounds like that maybe police and fire, city parks, libraries, services, amenities aren't going to be threatened.
Well, they are, regardless of whether the coyotes stay or not. We definitely have to have this tax increase. It is a temporary, and it's to get us through the next few years so we can make more cuts. And we can't just jump off a cliff at this point because it definitely will affect the citizens very negatively. I just think that we as a council made a decision and as an emergency and that's why we're elected by the citizens to make those type of decisions. And I know that Mr. Quinn's group, that's basically what they're trying to do, is take away that decision-making process from the city council.
Respond to that, please.
Well, first of all, it's interesting. All of these meetings they had and things, they really never started looking at the budget in earnest and looking for alternatives and saying all these things were going to happen until after our initiative made it. And once our initiative made it, the city then started saying, oh, fire and police are going to go away, we're going to close libraries, we're going to do that. What we've said all along is, if you think you have a $20 million problem, we just found 10 of it if you don't do the coyotes deal. Today I just heard on a workshop, it looks like they're going to pick up about $7 million a year over the next 5 years, that's another 7, so they're at 17. So now you're really close. You probably don't have to close all those things. Maybe some of them should be closed and you need to go look at them. Like the festivals. Some festivals probably make money, some don't make money.
Sounds like decisions, first of all, as far as the coyotes are concerned, you see that as a major factor here, correct?
See, the arena agreement is a major factor.
Yes. So, okay. So, once again, we're back to the coyotes. We've talked about this so many times on this program. Is it time for the city to say, we simply can't afford this? If police and fire are going to be threatened, if this tax increase doesn't go through, we got to look at this thing again.
Well, we built the arena for the coyotes. They bring in 500,000 people a year to the Westgate area. It isn't just the arena, it's the Westgate area, the offices around there, Cabela's and Harrow. That whole development was part of the bond election that the voters approved back in 1999. It's unfortunate that the coyotes went bankrupt. No one ever expected that to ever happen. So we got stuck with this problem, and it is still our problem. We still own the arena. We have the debt to pay on it, the operating and maintenance. I still believe if we can get the right owner in there, that would be the best solution. We had Mr. Birnbaum, who was an attorney that did the study on the gift clause, who said that over the long run, we would come out okay on that. I mean, we would make money, and he didn't even include the revenue from the Westgate area.
Can you afford to have that place out there, not have a hockey team?
Well, if it costs you $15 million a year to have it going with a hockey team, and it only costs you $6 million a year to not have a hockey team and not have it going, that seems like a $9 million a year savings to me.
So you're saying if it sits out there empty, it will save the city money?
Yeah, and let me tell you how that's going to happen. First of all, if you went out and got a more traditional management agreement, that manager would come in there and try to fill it with different things, whether it's a tractor pull, an ice skating venue, whatever it is. Right now, the owner of the Coyotes is the manager of the arena. What incentive do they ever have to bring any shows there besides the Coyotes?
Actually, with the agreement that we are crafting with Mr. Jameson, he has obligations to bring other events there.
Well, let me just respond
please.
to that really quickly. Here's the deal. They're going to give them on average $15 million a year, right? The deal they have with Jameson, if the Coyotes don't play a game, he has to pay the city $60,000 for every game they don't play. That's $2.4 million. If he doesn't have any of the 30 events that he's required to have, he has to give the city $30,000 for every event he doesn't have up to 30. He gives no events, that's $900,000. So he gives the city basically $3.3 million, and they give him 15.
Okay, I don't want to get too bogged down now in the details as far as the coyotes are concerned. Obviously, this is a major factor here. However, another major factor of this particular proposition is that all future sales tax hikes would have to be approved by voters. Is that wise?
Yes.
Why?
It's wise in where Glendale is right now. Because one of the things, while they talk about it's a temporary sales tax, there's no way this tax is temporary. Traditionally, what they've done with their bonds and what they're doing with this Coyote Arena deal, if it goes through, is in the first 5 years you have low payments. And then after 5 years, the payments start increasing. Some of these bonds and things have been around since 2002, 2003. They've had the years when the payments are down. If you look at what's going to happen after the 5 years of this, starting in the year 6 and 7, you're going to see payments go up for bonds, payments go up for the coyotes. So it's not a temporary tax.
The idea that voters get a say on all future tax hikes, why not?
Well, I would hope that they would. However, to take that authority away from the city council, who are elected to represent those citizens, I don't think it's right. That's why we are there. It's why we had the ability to raise that tax, because had we not, we would not have been able to balance our budget this year. It's just plain and simple. Now, do I think the vote should go to the voters? Well, yes, I would hope so. But in an emergency situation, I think a council needs that ability to make that decision.
What about a council elected by the people doing what it's supposed to be doing and making these kinds of decisions?
The people gave them the ability to set sales tax. The people can take it away from them. And here's the thing. It shows to me that the citizens of Glendale are fairly savvy. If in 3 times since 1993 they've went in and said, oh, we need more help with the fire, police, or transportation, we're willing to raise sales tax to do that. The city council can put it on the agenda. You can vote on it fairly quickly.
Real quickly, though, as far as being savvy, they've also voted this particular city council into office, and the deals with the Coyotes and Camelback Ranch have come from this council.
Well, it's come from this council and some of the predecessors.
Sure, but voted in by the people. Those savvy voters you're talking to.
But the savvy voters they weren't seeing the ramifications of this till now.
Last question for you. The idea of lower sales taxes in Glendale, the idea that it would attract shoppers from other cities. A higher sales tax would make Glendale shoppers go somewhere else. Valid?
Valid to a point, because since the sales tax went in August, we haven't seen a lot of pushback, especially from the small businesses. People that I ask, Arrowhead Mall is packed, Cabela's is packed, all the places I've been, I haven't seen. In fact, our sales tax revenues are up.
Okay, we got to stop it right there. Good discussion. Good to have you both.
Thanks.
We appreciate it.